Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel David White, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari mandates security chiefs to rescue abducted train passengers, others. Federal government, private sector partners to build 150 shops at Lagos National Stadium. Plus, Russia bans as U.S. VP Kamala Harris, Mark Zuckerberg, 27 others. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First on our news this afternoon is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has directed security agencies to ensure the rescue of passengers kidnapped on the Abuja-Kaduna train, which was attacked 3 weeks ago. National Security Advisor, retired Major General Babagana Monguno disclosed this to State House correspondents after the first 2022 meeting of the National Security Council, presided over by the President at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Monguno said the President had directed all security agencies to work in concert to ensure the rescue of the passengers immediately and unhurt. In another development, federal government is set to build 150 new shops at the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos, as part of the ongoing refurbishing process of the edifice. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to endorse the proposal, which is part of plans to make the complex a befitting sport arena under the new arrangement. Reports say Sports Minister Sunday Dare is currently working with the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission to put the stadium to the expected standard. Away from that, in a bid to ensure increased agricultural productivity and job creation, the federal government has concluded plans to unveil Hello Tractor initiative. In a statement, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, said the pay-as-you-go tractor financing scheme will be unveiled on April 28, 2022. According to him, the launch scheduled to hold in Abuja is a follow-up to an earlier soft launch which witnessed the presentation of 7 tractors to beneficiaries across 3 locations of Abuja, Nasarawa and Enugu State in the country. Reports say Haifa International will be providing funding for the project through its Ayute Africa Challenge competition platform as part of its strategic goal of assisting over 1 million farmers in Africa to reach a sustainable living income by the year 2030. Elsewhere, Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige has said the federal government will consider taking the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU to the industrial court if the reconciliation process to resolve the ongoing strike fails. Speaking in an interview with newsmen, Ngige warned ASU to refrain from intimidating officials in the Ministry of Digital Communications and Economy and the National Information Technology Development Agency over the deployment of a university transparency account system proposed by the union. The minister also claimed the union has threatened the Minister of Digital Communications and Economy, Issa Pantami, with revocation of his professorship. Recall that ASU embarked on a 1-month warning strike on February 14, 2022, citing its dissatisfaction with the federal government's disappointing response on the matters raised by the union. To the legislative, where the House of Representatives ad hoc committee on the state of refineries in Nigeria has summoned the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, and the Group Managing Director of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Melekiari, as well as officials of the management of the nation's refineries to appear before the panel. The committee, which condemned the invitees for allegedly shunning a series of invitations to its investigative hearing, threatened to revoke legislative powers against them at a press briefing in Abuja. Chairman of the committee, Ganiyu Johnson, has said non-appearance by the stakeholders ruined investigative hearing of the committee scheduled for March 31st, 2022. And now to electoral matters, where the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it will spend not less than 239.2 billion naira on procuring voting materials and vehicles that will be used in the 2023 general election. This is according to the 2023 general election project plan launched by INEC in Abuja yesterday. Reports say 78.44% of its 305 billion naira budget will be spent on 10 critical items, which include ballot papers, operational vehicles, ballot boxes, allowances of ad hoc workers, printing of result sheets, logistics, and procurement of accreditation devices. Also included in the budget is the 27.1 billion naira set aside by a commission for possible runoff elections, including the one for the presidential poll. Meanwhile, former President Goodluck Jonathan has said he is yet to declare for the 2023 presidency, as the process to that effect is ongoing. He spoke while playing host to a large crowd of supporters, mostly youth and women, on Solidarity March to his office in Abuja. Leaders of the placard-carrying supporters took turns to ask the former president to return to office in 2023 and promised to work for his victory at the polls. The former president, however, appreciated the large crowd for their support and visit. On security, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has disclosed that amid growing insecurity in the country, the creation of state police would be a better option than community policing. Obasanjo made this disclosure when the leadership of the National Association of Ex-Local Government Chairmen in Abuja paid him a courtesy visit in Abeokuta on Wednesday. A statement by his special assistant on media, Kehinde Akinyemi, hinted that visit was led by the Pioneer National Chairman, Honorable Albert Asipa, the Ogun State Chapter Chairman, Honorable Shoyemi Koka, Honorable Chinwe Monu Olarewaju, Delta State Chairman BOT, and the traditional ruler of Odowolu, His Royal Highness Oba Toye Majid Alatise Begande of Ososa, a former chairman of the Ijebu-Ode local government area of Ogun State, among others. Meanwhile, following the recent and frequent attacks on police formations and personnel in the southeast by armed assailants, Inspector General of Police IG Osman Baba has ordered the immediate deployment of additional operational assets to complement officers and men attached to Operation Restore Peace. In a statement, the IG, who condemned the spate of attacks on police officers' facilities and other police operational assets around the nation, warned that attacks on police officers in line with duty will no longer be tolerated under whatever guise, as the force holds the lives of its personnel sacrosanct. Baba, in a statement by the police spokesman Moyiwa Adejobi, reiterated the commitment of the force to protection of lives and properties, while stressing that it is vital to respect the lives and fundamental rights of police officers and other security operatives to enable them to advance their sacred mandate of serving and protecting the citizens better. In a related development, Rivers State Governor and the People's Democratic Party's presidential aspirant, Nyesom Wike, and his Taraba State counterpart, Darius Ishaku, have insisted on state police as one of the possible ways of checking insecurity in the country. According to the door, establishing state police will be one enduring approach to addressing the decaying insecurity in Nigeria. Wike, who was in Taraba to woo delegates of the PDP in the state ahead of the PDP presidential primaries, while dismissing the arguments against the need for state police, said the federal government cannot stop insecurity without state police. Back in Akwa Ibom State, immediate past commissioner for economic development in the state, Akano Kon, has assured Akwa Ibomites of his readiness to provide a visionary and purposeful leadership that would engender rapid economic growth, inclusive development, and shared prosperity if elected as governor come 2023. Okon gave the assurance during his Thanksgiving and official declaration to run for the office of the governor under the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the next year general elections. A correspondent completes the report.
The immediate past commissioner for economic development. On Thursday, Akwa Ibomers gathered at the West Itam Secondary School, Itam, to witness the official declaration of Mr. Akanokun to run for the office of the governor in 2023. The moment gave the immediate past commissioner for economic development in the state the opportunity to offer praises and thanksgiving to God for the grace to serve under the past and present administrations.
I have served meritoriously in different ministries under the administration of His Excellency Senator Gosling Akpabio and His Excellency Governor Udomi Mandel. I understand the workings of government. As part of my desire to continue to offer quality services to our state, I intend to harness the accrued technocratic experience to ensure good governance in the state. I am poised to add value and to offer value-added leadership for shared prosperity. And what I mean there is that in Akwa Ibom State, under my leadership, prosperity will not be for the few. Prosperity will be for all.
The paramount ruler of Itu local government area, His Majesty Etidem Edetapan, while commenting on the occasion, thanked the People's Democratic Party for giving all aspirants a level playing field. He advised Akwa Ibomites to choose the right leaders who would mean well for the people.
I want Akwa Ibomites, all the Akwa Ibomites, to look closely, not on sentiment, but let us now choose somebody who can redeem this very state. When you look at Akwa Ibom, economically, we are viable, we have mineral, but we need somebody that will harness these very resources, both natural resources and human resources. Akwa Ibom has been endowed with, so that the state will develop, not mediocrity. We need people who know the job to handle the development of this state for us. So God will give us the best. God will give me an Akwa Ibom, and those that love this Akwa Ibom, the best among them. That's my comment. Thank you.
The event drew top-ranking personalities in the state, as well as stakeholders of the People's Democratic Party in the state. Hansen Uko, Spectrum Television.
Still in Akwa Ibom State, as the world marks World Earth Day, an academic professor with the University of Uyo, Professor Ekanam, has called for collaborative efforts to save the planet. Speaking on Spectrum Television Rise and Shine show, the professor called for an end to tree cutting, bush burning, and other harmful practices that affect the environment.
There are some things like, let me give you an example. In our environment, we have everybody drilling borehole. No regulation, no nothing. Everybody has it. Because the agency that supplies water has failed. So everybody goes on his own way. We see people burning things. Anywhere they just burn things. It doesn't happen in any civilized society anymore. Waste management is becoming a major problem. From in household to the community to the state. It's a serious problem. Those are things we can easily handle.
In Africa, Kenya has announced it will host a meeting between rebels in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo and the government in Kinshasa. The announcement was made on Thursday after a meeting of leaders from Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo that met in Nairobi to discuss violence by armed groups in the DR Congo. Reports say Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, during Thursday's meeting with the leaders, sought to establish a regional force to neutralize armed groups in the region, adding that the recent fighting in eastern DR Congo has pitted government forces against rebels from the M23 movement, a group that emerged from the Congolese Tutsi rebellion. Still in Africa, Kenya's former president, Mwai Kibaki, has died at the age of 90. Announcing his death, President Uhuru Kenyatta eulogized the former president, Kibaki, of Kenyan politics, saying he was a patriarch for the values for which he lived, his ideals, his dignity, his diligence, candor, and concern for the well-being of all Kenyans. President Kenyatta said that as a leading figure in post-independence Kenyan history, Kibaki earned the respect and affection of Kenyan people and other nations around the world, ordering all flags in the country and diplomatic missions to fly at half-mast. Kenyan President Kenyatta has said the former president, who was president from 2002 to 2012, will be accorded a state funeral and the country will be in a national mourning until sunset on the day former President Mwai Kibaki will be buried. Elsewhere, an Egyptian court has sentenced a former member of parliament and others to 10 years in prison for smuggling antiquities out of a country. The former member of parliament, Ala Hassanian, and 4 others will serve 10 years, while Hassan Rateb, a prominent businessman, and 17 others will face 5 years in prison. Reports say those sentenced have been fined 1 million Egyptian pounds each as part of Egypt's drastic state-up efforts in recent years to stop the trafficking of its antiquities. Meanwhile, the country has in recent years warned foreign museums that it will not help them mount exhibits on ancient Egyptian antiquities unless they return smuggled artifacts. Still to come in news. Man United captain Maguire gets bomb threat to stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abuse. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned. On the foreign scene, Russia has slammed a travel ban on United States Vice President Kamala Harris, Facebook co-founder Mark Zuckerberg, and 27 other Americans. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that all will be denied entry to the Russian Federation on an indefinite basis. The sanctions affect top business executives, politicians, scientists, and journalists. Reports say Zuckerberg was added to the list for limiting access to Russian news outlets on Facebook. Recall that the U.S. and others are increasing sanctions against the country over the invasion of Ukraine since February 24. Still on the foreign scene, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has told the world's finance ministers that his country needs $7 billion every month until the summer to keep functioning. Volodymyr Zelensky also said hundreds of billions of dollars will be needed to rebuild all that has been destroyed by the war. He was addressing an International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank conference via video link from Kyiv. Zelensky also said the global community needed to exclude Russia from international financial institutions, including the World Bank, IMF, and others.
Після цієї війни Україна буде потребувати ще сотень мільярдів доларів. Потрібно негайно виключити Росію з усіх міжнародних фінансових інституцій. Міжнародний валютний фонд, Світовий банк та інші точно не місце для такої держави, яка намагається зруйнувати життя сусіднього народу.
Elsewhere, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has revealed that Ukrainian troops are in the UK being trained on how to use the armored vehicles Britain is supplying to repel Russian forces. Reports say Britain is providing Ukraine with 120 armored patrol vehicles, including the Mastiff, which can be used as a reconnaissance or patrol vehicle. Johnson's press secretary said a couple of dozen Ukrainian soldiers were currently in the UK for training, adding that Britain and its allies were providing Ukrainian soldiers with new types of equipment that they may not have used before. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced a new package of $800 million in military aid for Ukraine, saying it will help Kyiv in the fight against Russian forces in the Donbas region. Pentagon said the newest round of U.S. support will include 72 155mm howitzers, 72 armored vehicles, 144,000 rounds of ammunition, and more than 120 Phoenix Ghost tactical drones recently developed by the U.S. Air Force. Specifically to address Ukrainians' needs. Biden said the new package was tailored to help Ukrainian forces meet the emerging Russian offensive in the country's east, which he said will be a different kind of fight that in the north around Kyiv, where Ukrainian forces successfully beat Russian forces.
I'm announcing another $800 million to further augment Ukraine's ability to fight in the east, in the Donbas region. This package includes heavy artillery weapons, dozens of howitzers, and 144,000 rounds of ammunition to go with those howitzers. It also includes more tactical drones. In the past 2 months, we've moved weapons and equipment to Ukraine at record speed. We've sent thousands of anti-armor and anti-missile helicopters, drones, grenade launchers, machine guns, rifles, radar systems. More than 50 million rounds of ammunition had already been sent. The United States alone has provided 10 anti-armor systems for every 1 Russian tank that's in Ukraine, a 10-to-1 ratio. We're sharing and will continue to share significant timely intelligence with Ukraine to help defend them against Russian aggression. And on top of this, these direct contributions from the United States, we're the outfit facilitating the significant flow of weapons and systems to Ukraine from other allies and partners around the world, like the S-300 long-range anti-aircraft systems that Slovakia recently transferred to Ukraine. We are getting them in there. We won't always be able to advertise everything that our partners are doing to support Ukraine and its fight for freedom, but to modernize Teddy Roosevelt's famous advice, sometimes we will speak softly and carry a large javelin, because we're sending a lot.
On our business news, Brent, the global benchmark for crude oil, rose marginally in price on Thursday as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries projected that the demand growth for oil will continue this year. In its statements to the International Monetary and Financial Committee meeting of ministers and governors for April 2022, released on Thursday, OPEC stated that oil prices had been on the rise, particularly in March this year. It said the ICE Brent benchmark had averaged near $98 per barrel in the first quarter 2022, about $18 higher than its value in the fourth quarter of 2021. stressing that this was due to the escalating geopolitical tensions in Eastern Europe and that the concerns that it might result in large oil supply shortages amid trade dislocations. Still on business news, the International Monetary Fund says the impact of the war in Ukraine is likely to sustain pressure on commodity prices, affecting oil and gas prices severely in 2022 and food prices well into 2023 in Nigeria and other countries of the world. The Washington-based lender disclosed this in its World Economic Outlook, which borders on how the war has contributed to setbacks on the global recovery. According to it, inflation is expected to remain high and far longer than it had previously forecasted. The IMF added that energy and food prices contributed significantly to the headline inflation in 2021 in varying degrees across the regions. According to it, the sharp hike in oil and gas prices led to an increase in energy costs. And in health, the Kogi state government has confirmed 41 new cases of Lassa fever, with 7 dates from January till date. A statement issued by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Alonge Daniel, was made available to journalists in Lokoja that 9 local government areas, namely Ida, Ibaji, Lokoja, Ajakuta, Ofukene, Okehi, Kaba, and Adavi, have reported at least one confirmed case during the period. Alonge noted that the ministry had responded appropriately and timely to the epidemic through the release of funds by Governor Yahaya Bello to curb the outbreak, adding that the ministry is collaborating with other line ministries, especially the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, and other partners to curtail the outbreak and prevent the further spread of the disease. And sport, Harry Maguire's house was checked by police yesterday after the Manchester United captain received a bomb threat. England defender Maguire whose lives with his fiancés and 2 children has entered a difficult season with club and country, but it is not known who made the threat. Reports say in the last 24 hours, Harry has received a serious threat to his family home, and he has reported this to the police, who are now looking into the matter. On our entertainment news, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has pledged to ensure justice for the late gospel music star Osinachi Nwachukwu, who died recently following alleged maltreatment and assault by her husband, Peter Nwachukwu. CAN President Reverend Samson Ayakunle gave the pledge in a statement in Abuja condemning the gruesome murder of a late gospel music minister. Ayakunle, who described Osinachi's untimely demise as sad and worrisome, commiserated with her family and promised to ensure justice was not perverted in the matter. Still on entertainment news, Egypt has marked the 2022 World Heritage Day with a new textile hall at the museum in Cairo. Spokesman for the Ministry of Antiquities, Abu Al-Fadl, who spoke on the arrangement of the exhibition and what they represent, said the ground floor shows Egyptian heritage textiles from ancient Egypt and the Greco-Roman period, the Coptic and Islamic periods, as well as modern and contemporary times, while the upper floor hosts belongings from the Muhammad Ali dynasty, clothes, jewelry, and outfits worn by people in certain jobs in that era. Reports say the exhibition has around 650 items, giving visitors of the museum the chances to see clothes worn through various eras in Egyptian history. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTV.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel David White. Have a good afternoon.